I'll start with a quick review for this book or course, Your Best Brain. I'll give this book 3, even a high 3, which is like from 1 to 5, but 3 has a high and low, so a high 3. And the reason is, it has definitely some good information. I think he's a good professor and knows how to explain stuff. However, I think there was a little too many stories, and they were a little long. Additionally, he was a little too excited. You can ask, yeah, it's good when a professor or when the speaker is excited, but I think it was a little too excited, and it kind of was like it gets annoying after a little while. But there's definitely some good information, good overview on brain functions. Some of the lectures were not as related, but still always good to learn more about the brain. Let's see the notes. It's not nature versus nurture. It's both. There's always that debate whether is nurture versus nature is, and it's not only him, but it says it's both. It's a combination. It's a relationship. The social brain theory attribute our brain size to social connection. That's the social brain theory. Is the reason we have bigger brains is because we are a social animal, and therefore we need to, there's a lot of computations and other stuff that goes along with it. Theory of the mind and the ability to reason seems to be what makes us different than other animals, basically. Theory of the mind is that we can think, or we know that other people can also think in a way. We can think, we can put ourselves in their shoes. So both, and the ability to reason, both of these are what makes us different than animals, because there is not much when you really break it down. The ability to remember experience and to infer from it are the main ingredients of intelligence. What is intelligence, you can ask? So the ability to remember experience and to infer from it. So not only remember, but to understand and infer from that experience is what? Some of the ingredients. Storage and retrieval are not the same. One thing is to store, and another one is to retrieve it from the memory. And then they're not the same. According to one theory, memory is used for prediction, and therefore accuracy isn't important. It's one of the reasons we don't remember things with a lot of details, because we use memory. That's the theory says, that we use memory to predict, and for prediction it doesn't matter the exact details. Side note, the professor is a bit too excited. That's what I said in that review part. He's a little bit too excited and it gets annoying. See, I survived till lecture 6. Fluid intelligence is the ability to come up with creative solutions. That's basically what fluid intelligence. It's a part of intelligence, is coming up with creative solutions. Our brain can edit information before we perceive it. We not perceive things as true as they really are. Our brain sometimes edit it. For example, our eyesight, and it's not exactly, there is an overlap and things like that. There is a lot of things. There is a blind spot which we do not see in our stuff. We are not seeing with our eyes. We are seeing with our brain. The eyes don't see anything. It's a sensory information, sensory input, but our brain is what we see with our brain. Our brain interprets what we see, and that's what we see. Our systems cannot process all incoming information, so they prioritize. There's too much, so we prioritize. We see only what's important at the moment. Attention is basically a filtering mechanism. we use that, it's a similar idea that we use that, it's a filtering. We only want something and not the rest. And when we put attention to something particularly, we're less likely to notice other stuff. So there is 2 parts of the book. Let's go to the second one. Stress can cause sickness since stress kills immune cells. Stress is, we always know that it's not good, but what happens there exactly is stress kills immune cells. And immune cells is what combats disease and bacteria, viruses, etc. My behavior could often be characterized as diffusion of responsibility or de-evangelism. Individualization. That's what happens in mobs. There's diffusion of responsibility or de-individuation. De-individuation. It's hard to say that word. So that's what happens. People feel like as one, there is no responsibility. And it's interesting because mobs are fascinating. According to one theory, children learn through schemas, which is like a key that helps us remember and figure out things. So the way they learn is with schemas. I think the schemas, that's how you say it. And it's basically keys, because we can learn one thing and then infer and implement it in other situations. According to one theory, teenagers are often prefer to leave their community so the gene pool get more diverse. And basically those communities where teenagers left the community got more diverse and survived more. That's the idea there, that there's a reason why teenagers like to leave, because they used to live in a very small communities and not very diverse. Here, sexual reproduction, unlike asexual, is more mixed, which creates more variety. So asexual reproduction is, I think, bacteria and other small cells are just dividing into 2. But sexual reproduction is more diverse and there is more variety. So it's 2 different methods. The female's brain regions are more connected compared to men's. In general, there's more connection between the regions. In men's, it's a little more isolated. Episodic memory, that is, remembering events, tend to decline with age. That's episodic memory. It's tend to decline. It's just an interesting fact. Social interaction reduce stress and therefore are supposed, I don't know why it doesn't show the rest, are supposedly healthy. And I didn't go back. Terrible. The new layout is terrible. Anyway, social interaction reduce stress and therefore supposedly healthy. So we said, like with the stress, stress is not good for us, so social interaction reduces the stress, and then that's why it's considered as healthy. The main ingredients of executive functions is self-control. That's the prefrontal cortex. That's the main ingredient of it is self-control, if we can control ourselves. Impulse control is varied from person to person. Not everyone has the same impulse control. You can have it more or less. ADHD personalities added evolutionary benefits to their group as they were more active and aware of danger. You can ask why ADHD survived more, and why are there more of them? Because in today's world they're not necessarily advantageous, but back in the days they had evolutionary benefits because they were more active and aware of dangers. They were just moving around, and it's always good to have someone who checks things around and cannot sit still. One cause of dementia is lack of blood flow to the brain, which exercise could help solving. Because exercise helps circulation, and therefore there's more blood flow to the brain. Our brain works better in social situations and not very well when lonely. So we should strive to be more social because our brain works better in social context. That's it for the notes. Again, definitely some interesting parts in the book. As you see, there is quite a few notes, but I wish it wasn't as exciting. And again, it's a high 3, so it's almost a 4. I might eventually give it a 4, but if you're interested in the brain and the related stuff, I would definitely recommend. It's a good overview. Thank you.